Friends, please settle down. Hi. Please close your eyes and mouths. Please. Online friends, can you hear me clearly? Please confirm by typing in yes, if you can. Online friends, can you hear me clearly? Please respond. I'll then proceed. ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स को वॉल्यूम शायद थोड़ी कम आ रही है, उसको देखिए प्लीज. हाँ, चलिए. So in the last lecture we had discussed till new social movements, and then that standalone question, are social movements primordial in means and progressive in agenda? Taking off from there, what are new social movements, Bitya? Yes? Yes, old social movements were mostly centering on economic concerns. Continue. Good. Good. Great. ठीक है, अब चलते हैं जीवन में आगे. Let us now discuss revolution. Revolution. What do you understand by this term? It's not like that it's not a new term. We've all heard this term. What do you understand by this term in normal English usage? Revolution. What does this term seem to indicate? Kranti it is. That's a good translation. But tell me more than that. Yes, you were saying? Sudden change. So when you use the term revolution, there is a sense of urgency, immediacy to it. है ना कि बस हो गया. So it's like sudden change. Okay, brother? So a very large scale of change. Very good. Brother? Very good. Replacing the current system with a new one. Bitya? By a large group of people. So there is mass involvement in revolutions. Yes? She's saying it is a change in the order of the society. Build up on that. ठीक है. The old order is replaced by a new order. Brother? Very good. Associated with instability and chaos. So it is a very impactful, large-scale, sudden, chaotic, frequently violent kind of a change. है ना? I'll dictate. I'm just trying to collate the views expressed. Tell me, friends, which of the following do you think are or can be termed as revolutionary? Pradhan Mantri Modi's historic win in 2014, bringing into government the first stable in 30 years, stable with full majority kind of a sarkar, that to a right-wing one or based on Hindutva ideology. Was that revolutionary or not? No? Modi ji rejected like this? Doesn't like it. 15th of August, 1947. Power being transferred from British hands to Indian hands. A historic occasion in the life of a nation. Was that a revolution? How many of you think it is? It can be regarded as revolutionary. Raise your hands. ठीक है. And how many of you, anybody with Modi ji's this thing? कहते हैं असली आजादी तो 2014 में हुई है. ठीक है. Couple of hands we have like Modi ji. Okay. How about going back further in Indian history? The Sepoy Mutiny, as the British called it, as Savarkar termed it, the first war of India's independence. When Sepoys of the company, Hindus and Muslims together, mutinied against the British. Was that a revolution? Yes or no? How many of you say it is? Raise your hands. Large number of people. More possibly than those who considered the independence of India as a revolution. The Green Revolution. Raise your hands. You're like, sir, ये भी कोई पूछने की बात है? नाम में ही given है. That's almost every one of us. अरे, the Industrial Revolution. It's a given, sir. क्या आप बचपना कर रहे हैं? The French Revolution. Only these many people think it was a revolution. The White Revolution. दूध क्रांति या क्या दूध क्रांति श्वेत क्रांति ओके मतलब increased milk production. How many of you think that's a revolution? Raise your hands. ठीक है. Please appreciate, friends, many of these are not revolutions in the sociological sense of the term or in the political science sense of the term. Most of them are not, including the so-named Green Revolution, ya White Revolution. Revolutions, friends, I'll dictate also, but let's first try to grasp. Revolutions, first and foremost, are very, very rare events in the life of a people. It's not every day that you have a revolution. So much so that revolutions may take place once in the lifetime of a country, or may not occur ever at all. While in everyday English usage, the term revolution is used somewhat loosely and frequently, but in political science literature, या political sociology, the term is reserved for very limited social movements. What is the hallmark or the decisive characteristic of a revolution is that it brings about a near total transformation of the society. A near total, या complete transformation of the whole of the society. So revolutions does not refer to any change in the society. Revolution does not refer to piecemeal change. Revolution does not refer to incremental change. Revolution implies a complete transformation of nearly all aspects of social life. Now, revolutions, as some of you suggested, do tend to, or are typically often associated with violence. Yes or no? But not necessarily so, not definitionally so, or not always so. For example, the Industrial Revolution. Was it a revolution in the sense we are now defining it? Did it lead to a near complete transformation of society? We've studied about the Industrial Revolution, how it impacted society. Did it or did it not? The answer is, yes, it did. Everything got changed. The economy, the education system, the political system, religion, yes or no, family system, urban living, everything was affected. Not affected, but everything stood nearly transformed by the Industrial Revolution. But it was by and large violent or peaceful? Peaceful. So it is the transformative impact of a revolution on the society which makes that event worthy of being termed as a revolution. Oftentimes, as another one of you mentioned, we associate revolutions with a sense of urgency. ऐसा लगता है बस हो गया. Yes or no? But again, they may be quite long drawn, such as again the Industrial Revolution, spread over several decades. Yes or no? Are you with me? Now you tell me, in this light, in our new, more nuanced understanding of the meaning of the term revolution, is Modi's election in 2014, is that a revolution? It is not. 15 August 1947, नामकरण पे मत जाओ, nomenclature पे मत जाओ. But does it bear the characteristics or the key characteristic of a revolution? The answer is no, it is not. Please appreciate, no doubt it was a historic moment for India and Indians. Yes? Please raise your hands and then speak if asked to. You know? But please give me that much space that don't interject without it being welcomed. It breaks the flow of my thoughts and the lecture beta. I have no issues with doubts, clarifying them, addressing them, but in a certain sequence, at my prerogative. So what I was saying is, 15 August 1947, no doubt was historic. No doubt was very important. We would have had very different lives possibly if we were still under colonial control. But it wasn't still it doesn't qualify to be a revolution. Why? There was in very good measure, there was continuity between the pre-independence days and the post-independence life of the nation. Yes or no? Did it lead to a complete transformation? The answer is bluntly no. Without denying the historic import of Indian independence, it did not lead to a near complete overhaul of the society. Bluntly, power passed from Gora Sahibs to the Brown Sahibs. Even your politico-administrative system did not undergo significant transformation. Yes or no? Legislatures का जो system है, bill making, everything is as it was. Civil services, as it was before and after independence. What the heck? Our constitution is largely draws from the Government of India Act of 1935. बुरा लगता है, but यही सत्य है. That is why it will not be termed as a revolution in political sociology. ठीक? What about the first war of independence? Was it a revolution? Yes or no? I want a categorical answer. No. The Green Revolution? No. Despite the nomenclature. And again, not denying the importance of Green Revolution. It was important. Why? It made us self-sufficient in food grain production. Earlier we were importing subsidized and cheap food grains and were dependent on other countries to satisfy our hunger. We became self-sufficient in food grain production. Commendable kind of a development. But did it lead to, again उसी कसौटी पे हम देखते हैं कि क्या ये इवेंट खरा उतरता है, to be termed as or defined as a revolution. क्या इससे पूरा समाज तब्दील हो गया? The answer is no. So it is not a revolution. The Industrial Revolution was a revolution. The French Revolution was a revolution. The White Revolution was not a revolution. Are you with me? लिखो. The term revolution refers to a social movement that brings about fundamental change. That brings about fundamental change in the economic, social, and political structures of the society. ठीक? Please underline fundamental change. That is the crux of what makes a revolution. ठीक? Revolution, continue writing, revolution often involves the use of violence. Comma, but not always so. Full stop. Mere regime change Mutiny. You know, in Pakistan, we frequently see that the democratically elected leadership is driven out of power and the government reins are taken by the military leadership. Is that a revolution? No, it is not. क्या लिखा है? Merely regime change, mutiny, rebellion, military coup, is military coup, C-O-U-P, is not a revolution. Is not a revolution. Full stop. Revolution means a near complete restructuring. A near complete restructuring of the social relations. ठीक? Full stop. Thus, revolution involves a collapse of the old system making way for a new social order. Making way for a new social order. ठीक? अब बताइए बिटिया, if you had any this thing which you wanted to raise. नहीं. Her question is whether 15th August 1947 or India's independence can be termed as the outcome of a revolution. The answer to that is no, that will not be a correct usage of the term, academic usage of the term revolution. Because though historic, it did not result in a complete transformation of the society. ठीक है बेटा? According to Skocpol, revolutions are rare and transformative events. Revolutions are rare and transformative events that fundamentally alter the social structure, challenge the dominant ideologies, and transform the state organization. ठीक? Transform the state organization. मतलब पूरा समाज नॉट जस्ट उथल पुथल हो जाता है, बट पूरा सामाजिक व्यवस्था पलट दी जाती है. आर यू विद मी? मतलब थिंग्स डू नॉट रिमेन एज दे वर प्रायर टू द रेवोल्यूशन. There is a drastic change in how things were before the revolution and how they become after it. It is almost as if a new society has been created from the ashes of the old. ये बताइए, which ideology emphasizes upon the importance of revolution? The Marxist ideology. लिखो, द मार्क्सिस्ट आइडियोलॉजी, आगे, द मार्क्सिस्ट आइडियोलॉजी emphasizes the inevitability of the proletariat revolution. Who's the gentleman in the photo? Lenin. Who was he? The leader of the Bolshevik revolution. You know, and one of the first leaders anywhere in the world to implement Marxism, having led himself the Bolshevik revolution. Lenin writes that continue. Lenin writes that revolutions are in quotation marks, start quotation marks, festivals of the oppressed. Dash, who act as creators of a new social order. Who act as creators of a new social order. Quotes close. एक जश्न है, किसका? वंचितों का, दरिद्र का, पिछड़ों का, जो एक नई सामाजिक व्यवस्था खड़ी करेंगे. ठीक? According to Lenin. Sorokin, however, keep writing. Sorokin, you remember Sorokin? We've met him before somewhere. Sorokin, however, compares revolutions to a severe social illness. Sorokin likens revolutions to a severe social illness which can lead to sudden death of the social organism. Meaning what? That Sorokin considers that revolutions can be so disruptive. Are you with me? That the society may disintegrate. Society may die, as he terms it. In other words, he is expressing a preference for not status quo. Not status quo. No, he's making a point against revolutions. It can lead to a death of the society. Reforms, incremental change, slow change, piecemeal change. Are you with me? क्योंकि रेवोल्यूशन होगा तो समाज खत्म भी हो सकता है. तो हमें सब कुछ एक साथ नहीं बदलना चाहिए, कुछ कुछ करके, छोटा छोटा करके, एवोल्यूशनरी तरीके से, पीसमील तरीके से समाज में बदलाव या बेहतरी लानी चाहिए. क्लियर? दिस इज अबाउट रेवोल्यूशंस. मूविंग ऑन टू another topic, state. State. What do you understand by the term state? You've heard this term? What does it indicate? And more specifically, is it the same as nation? Is it the same as government? Is it the same as country? what is state? Yes? You must have come across this term a gazillion times, but yeah. You are right. You're talking about what are the elements of a state. I'm just asking you to try to capture the essence of what is a state. You're not wrong. It's just that, it is a political organization where the government rules over a population in a territory. All right. So you've put all elements together to define what the state is. See, when we say the Indian state has taken certain actions, the Indian state has, say, made certain laws, the Indian state has attacked Pakistan, or declared war on Pakistan, is it the same as the Indian government has done so and so? Or not? Can we use these terms interchangeably? The Indian people or the Indian nation has done so, or not? What is your sense? Now, the fact of the matter is that in public discourse, in English usage, these terms are often used interchangeably. But conceptually, they are not the same. There are important conceptual differences between them. State jo hai, as was rightly pointed out by both students, 2-3 people who spoke, it is a politico-legal kind of an entity. And what is the hallmark of state? The defining feature of state? Whoever said that, it is power. Kaisi power? Coercive power. Matlab the ability to extract compliance using danda. Are you with me? Likhiye. According to Weber, the state is a human community that successfully claims monopoly over the legitimate use of physical force within a given territory. Within a given territory. I repeat, state is a human community that successfully claims monopoly over the legitimate use of physical force in a given territory. In other words, its defining feature is its ability to successfully claim monopoly over use of physical force. Matlab, it alone can wield the danda. Clear? MacIver writes that, the spelling is there. Oh, to batao na. MacIver writes that the state embraces the whole of the people in a given territory. The state embraces the whole of the people. In other words, friends, compliance to the authority of the state, is it optional or is it mandatory? Can I choose to say that I will not follow the laws passed by the Indian state, or I will not comply with its orders? For example, say NGOs. Can I choose that I will not comply with the rules and regulations of HelpAge India? Or not? Of course I can. My association with them is voluntary, optional, up to me to choose. But with state, is it optional? It is clearly not. I can't say I will not adhere to Indian laws. If I'm in the jurisdiction of or in the territory of India, I am subject to the authority of the Indian state. Right? क्या लिखा है बिटिया? In a given territory and has the special function of, what is the primary function of the state, friends? The govern is too big and generic a term, and its meaning is evolved. Specifically, maintaining order. The special function of maintaining order. ठीक? Now, the state, friends, has, as was rightly identified by some of the students, 4 essential ingredients or characteristics. Now we are moving ahead. There are 4 essential elements of the state as follows. The first is territory. In no specific order. One is territory. कितनी होनी चाहिए? अगर अच्छा, now coming to this aspect, friends, let me put it this way. The state is not the same as nation. The state is not the same as government. The state is same as country. What we in normal English term as country, in political science we use the term state very broadly. Okay? And quite correctly so. So एक कंट्री बनाने के लिए, एक देश बनाने के लिए कितनी टेरिटरी चाहिए? कितनी चाहिए? Sorry? Can it be like, what is the minimum size of a country? How much territory do you need? How much of geographical space? One territory? No, as in, how many square kilometers or something? I mean, sorry? 3, 4, 5 square kilometers. Can the country be that small? Yes, it can be. साफ बात है, there is no fixed criteria that a state should have at least this much territory under its jurisdiction. It can be very small, very small. For example, the Vatican City. It's something like, half a square kilometer or 1 square kilometer or something sort. Imagine that. मेरे घर से जो nearest mother dairy है ना, that is farther away. Really. Huh? So, or it can be as large a country as, say, Russia, spanning hundreds or thousands of square kilometers. Okay? The territory of a state, friends, please write, includes land, water and air under its jurisdiction. We generally associate it only with land, so I just wanted to clarify that. Includes the land, water and air in its jurisdiction. ठीक? Another characteristic or element is sovereignty. Sovereignty. Sovereignty means what? The supreme power to take decisions and implement them in its territory. That is sovereignty. Supreme power to take decisions and implement them in its territory. Now, sovereignty, friends, has two dimensions, external and internal. External dimension means what? That the state is not answerable to any external power or outside power, right? So the state sovereignty is not subjected to any outside power. Internal dimension is what? That internally it is unchallenged. There is no, parallel or countervailing power center internally. Externally, there is no outside power to which the state is answerable. ठीक? Is Haryana a state? Is Haryana a state? Yes or no? No. Not in this sense of the term. We do call Haryana, Rajasthan, etc. states, but that's in a different usage. Okay? Why? Because Haryana की जो power है, क्या वो supreme या is it answerable to any outside power? Which is who? The center. The president. Yes or no? So वो supreme in that sense नहीं है. Haryana country नहीं है, for God's sake, and thank God for that. Right? Clear? The third characteristic is people. साफ बात है, देश बनाने के लिए लोग चाहिए, वरना जो सुप्रीम अथॉरिटी है वो किस पे इंपोज करोगे? सॉवरेंटी है, इट इज सब्जेक्ट टू यस और नो, लोग तो चाहिए जिस पे राज करोगे. इसीलिए अंटार्कटिका वास्ट टेरिटरी है, बट इट्स नॉट अ कंट्री. लोग ही नहीं है, क्या देश बनाएंगे? ठीक है, तो देश बनाने के लिए लोग होना आवश्यक है. दैट गोज विदाउट सेइंग. कितने? कैन वी गाइस कॉन्स्टिट्यूट अ कंट्री? कितने भी चलेंगे हैं, 100-200 लोग. कैन दे बी अ कंट्री और अ स्टेट? द आंसर इज yes. So again, there are no theoretically or practically there are no minimum or maximum limits. Again, you can have countries with very small sized populations, like the Vatican City again, with a population of around 1,000-2,000 people, less than the population of Rajendra Nagar. Yes or no? But it's a country. Or it could be as populous a country as a China or in India, 1 billion plus people. ठीक? And the fourth characteristic is government. Now please appreciate, friends, the government is the visible arm of the state. Meaning what? The practical expression of state power is through the government, through the agency of the government. In other words, the powers of the state are exercised by who? The government. The functions of the state are performed by who? The government. ठीक है? When we say the Indian state has attacked Pakistan, who has attacked Pakistan? You and I. It is the government of India which has declared war on Pakistan. Huh? When we say the Indian state has made certain laws or rules, who has made? You and I. It is the government of India on behalf of the Indian people which has made the rules. ठीक? So सरकार स्टेट का प्रतिरूप है या एक्सप्रेशन है, मैनिफेस्टेशन है. क्लियर? So when these four elements are combined, we have a state. And then there is a fifth, somewhat contentious element. Contentious in the sense, some scholars are of the view that it is a necessary requirement for a state, while others are not so sure about that. And that element is international recognition. International recognition. So the house is divided on whether international recognition is a necessary element of a state. Some people, some scholars are of the view that yes, it is. In other words, you become a country only when others recognize you as such. So only when others recognize you as a state. And how would others recognize you? The international community, say you get membership as a state in international forums or organizations like the United Nations. If other countries establish full diplomatic relations with you, ठीक? While others say that it is not a necessary ingredient. It is not necessary. Irrespective of whether others acknowledge me as a country or not, if I have these four things, if I have a clearly demarcated territory with a population over which I exercise sovereignty, there's a government which exercises sovereignty, then I constitute a state. International recognition may be slow to come by. International recognition may be, driven by geopolitical considerations. Are you with me? Or subject to international balance of power considerations. For example, during the Cold War, different countries were quick to, of each bloc, were quick to recognize breakaway factions from the opposing bloc. Are you with me? So अगर कम्युनिस्ट ब्लॉक में कहीं कोई दरार होती थी, सेसेशनिस्ट मूवमेंट होती थी, वेस्ट रिकॉग्नाइज कर लेगा, पर ईस्टर्न ब्लॉक नहीं करेगा. So the house is divided on this. We can't say whether it is an essential element, but clearly it has an importance. That is why you see even till date, whenever you have any secessionist movements क्या? They are trying to establish a new country by breaking away from an existing one. All secessionist movements, no matter which part of the world, they have their international, outreach. They try to involve the international community, seek recognition. For example, the LTT, striving for Tamil Eelam, that strove to include the international community. The Khalistan movement in India would strive for international involvement, recognition, and so on and so forth. ठीक है ना? So that is about state. ठीक? Moving on to now understanding. May I? The related concept of nation. Yes? There is a presumed legitimacy associated with the power of the state. The source of legitimacy may vary. For example, monarchical kingdoms, empires, their legitimacy was typically derived from some sort of a divine sanction. Modern day states, they divine legitimacy from people's assent. Okay? you may, in any state, you will have almost, मान के चलो, some segment which considers the power as illegitimate. Okay? But if in the broader scheme of things, if by a very large section of the population it is regarded as legitimate, and by legitimacy it need not necessarily or only be democracy. Okay? It could be a military rule or whatever also. खैर, अब चलते हैं to the concept of nation. What do you understand by this word nation? And how is it different from state? बताइए, brother. Okay, the distinction he has drawn is the nation includes all the people of the country while the state does not. Respectfully, that is incorrect. Okay? Are we a part of the Indian state? As non-civil servants? Are we part of the Indian state? Yes or no? Yes, we are. Bitya? There is no territorial boundary to a nation. Okay. Very good. Same ethnicity, same history. Brother? Good. Very good. That is what it is. It is a feeling. Kaisi feeling? A feeling of oneness. A feeling of oneness. So when a people are bound together by a feeling of oneness, they constitute a nation. Simply friends, जो state है ना, it is a politico-legal entity. The nation is a psychological kind of a concept. It is something that we feel. It's a feeling of oneness or unity amongst a group of people. And what unites, मैं लिखवा भी दूंगा, what unites this group of people in a nation? It is a shared history, a shared culture, shared ethnicity. ठीक? लिखो. Nation. The term nation, कर लो ना थोड़ा. The term nation, according to Stalin, refers to, Stalin you know, कौन थे? हाँ, बिल्कुल. Soviet leader, ruler. The term nation, according to Stalin, refers to a historically constituted, stable community, a historically constituted, stable community of people formed on the basis of which element of culture you think is the most salient or important in the formation of nations? Language, bilkul. On the basis of common language, comma, territory, comma, economic life, and psychological makeup. Manifested in a common culture. ठीक है? Simply friends, thus nation means a feeling of oneness or unity amongst a group of people. नेशन स्टेट क्या होता है? दिस समथिंग कॉल्ड नेशन स्टेट, नेशन डैश स्टेट. नेशन स्टेट इज व्हेन national boundaries and state boundaries coincide. When national boundaries coincide with state boundaries, it gives rise to nation states. मतलब क्या? कि those who feel they are one people, because they share the same or speak the same language or they share the same culture, when they become one sovereign country, then that is known as nation state. Clear? Now I'll just give you a brief historical overview of the formation of nation states. Nation states kind of were formed in Europe, say from 18th to 20th centuries. They began to be formed in Europe in the 18th centuries, and then that process went on till about 20th century. It was in the aftermath of the Treaty of, very good, Westphalia, Westphalia. Westphalia is in Germany. So there was a peace treaty in Westphalia in 1648. So it was in the aftermath of the Treaty of Westphalia, 1648 treaty. I'm only repeating so that if you've missed out on anything. Westphalia. That nation state system began to develop. After the treaty of the 1648 Treaty of Westphalia, basically the Westphalian system is what? That different countries recognized each other's sovereignty. Recognized each other's sovereignty. So मतलब क्या? उसमें ये decide हुआ था broadly that no matter how small you are, you may be 500 people or 2,000 people, I may be 20 crore. That gives me no right to interfere in your internal affairs. Okay, so the sanctity of state sovereignty was recognized by this Treaty of Westphalia. So what I'm saying is that in the aftermath of the Treaty of Westphalia, during the 18th to 20th centuries, a large number of nation states emerged. Meaning what? Prior to the Treaty of Westphalia, okay, or prior to this period, did you have states or not? You did. But those were not nation states. You did have independent or sovereign entities, political units. For example, you had them in the nature of empires or kingdoms, which were multinational states. Before the emergence of nation states, you had empires which were multinational states. Meaning what? That within one empire, one sovereign unit, there were different groups of people who amongst them did not feel a sense of oneness. Are you with me? Hypothetical example. Say, this is a large empire. Say which one? The Habsburg Empire, या Roman Empire, या कोई empire. Now, within this empire, this territory where the Roman king reigns supreme, Okay, or later you had this Ottoman Empire, है ना? Whatever empire, you would have multiple nations. Matlab, people belonging to different ethnic groups, speaking different languages, following different customs. Are you with me? Now, empires started to give way to nation states. In other words, say a large empire is there, it would start breaking up. In the sense, in this territory, in this large empire, you had those who speak the French language, eat French cuisine, wear French dress, follow French customs. So, the French-speaking, French-eating vagera people, they decided that we should have our own sovereign entity. So, the French nation then constituted the state of France. Are you with me? Likewise, the German-speaking, German-eating, German-dressing, Germanic people constituted Germany. And so on and so forth. The Portuguese-speaking, etc., they would constitute Portugal. And so on and so forth. Okay, so this process took place, resulting in the emergence of a large number of nation states. The erstwhile empires, which typically in their sovereign ambit reigned over multiple nations. I hope it's clear now. Nationality is a sense of oneness arising out of a shared culture. These empires, they ruled over multiple peoples. Matlab, those following different cultures, they come under the same sovereign umbrella. But now they were being replaced by nation states. So there was growth of nationalism in Europe. Growth of nationalism in Europe and the formation of nation states. Nationalism means what? Do you want me to pause? Nationalism means what? What is nationalism? Feeling of oneness? Hindi में बोलो. राष्ट्रवाद. हाँ. See, please write down. Nationalism is a political principle and sentiment which considers that political and national boundaries, which considers that political and national boundaries should coincide. ठीक है? So there was a growth of nationalism in Europe. And this nationalism grew on the principle or on the premise of what? What was the underlying principle? National self-determination. The underlying idea was of national self-determination. मतलब साफ बात है, we guys who speak French, eat French, follow French customs and all, why should we be ruled over by somebody who's of a different stock, different culture, different bhasha? We should have the right to decide our own political destiny. We should have the right to determine the course of our own collective lives. Are you with me? हमारे जीवन के बारे में निर्णय लेने का अधिकार हम ही लोगों को होना चाहिए. हम कौन? जो ये भाषा बोलते हैं या इस धर्म को फॉलो करते हैं या so on and so forth. Clear? So it was on the basis of the principle of national self-determination that various nation states emerged in Europe. Growth of nationalism and emergence of nation states in Europe coincided with क्या? आप बताओ 18th-20th century क्या हुआ था? The Industrial Revolution. Very importantly, coincided with the Industrial Revolution. The rise of bureaucracy. Development of mass media. Mass education. Mass-based politics. धन्यवाद भैया. ठीक है. Now, Benedict Anderson what he says, he calls nations as imagined communities. He calls nations as imagined communities. Why? Let us try to appreciate. What do you understand by the word community? What do you understand by the word community? What does it indicate? हाँ, कैसा group of people? Small sized होती है community. So it's a relatively, I'm just explaining what community is, then I'll explain why does he call them imagined communities. So a community is characterized by its small size, regular face-to-face interaction amongst its members, intimate relationships, and therefore a strong sense of belonging or attachment. ये होती है community. जैसे हम बोलते हैं village community, कि एक गांव के लोगों में 1000 लोग होते हैं, आपस में डेली साथ उठते बैठते हैं, बहुत सदियों से वहीं पे रह रहे होते हैं, बहुत इंटीमेटली जानते हैं, इसलिए स्ट्रॉन्ग एक कोहेजन या अटैचमेंट और ये सब होता है. ठीक. Now in a nation, what has happened, friends? Earlier, long back, people used to live in small sized communities, and it was obvious or natural that they develop a strong sense of attachment in these communities, right? But now in the nation states, is the size small or very large? These are very large size societies encompassing millions of members, tens of lakhs of members. Do you have regular interaction with the other members of the nation? You are Indians. Do you have regular interaction with all the other Indians? No, it is not practically possible. Yes or no? For large size nation states to have regular interactions amongst its members. Do you have personal connect with other members of the nation? No. do you yet still have a strong sense of attachment and belonging to the nation? The answer is yes. So despite not having regular face-to-face interactions or a small-sized, close-knit community, people have a strong sense of attachment or belonging. That is why he termed this as an imagined community. ठीक है? हमें लगता है हम सब एक हैं, बीइंग भारतीय और बीइंग इंडियन. लिखवाऊं क्या? Anderson suggests that the erstwhile small-sized communities have been replaced by large-sized, complex societies governed by bureaucratic structures. Full stop. Though regular personal interaction amongst the members of a nation does not take place, yet there is a strong sense of, a strong feeling of oneness, attachment. ठीक है? Hence he calls them imagined communities. He calls nations as imagined communities. ठीक? Clear? Now friends, moving ahead. In Europe, the main basis of nation states was a shared culture, right? Or a common culture. Nation state formation was based upon a shared or a common culture. Yes? In other words, these nation states, European nation states, were created on the basis of cultural homogeneity. Yes or no? जो फ्रेंच कल्चर फॉलो करते हैं उन्होंने फ्रांस बना लिया अपना, जो जर्मन कल्चर फॉलो करते हैं उन्होंने जर्मनी, इटालियन कल्चर ने इटली एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. सो इन यूरोप द ग्रोथ ऑफ नेशनलिज्म, नेशन स्टेट फॉर्मेशन वाज ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कल्चरल होमोजीनिटी. ठीक? नाउ इन द 20th century, फ्रेंड्स, there was a wave of decolonization across the globe. By the middle of 20th century, many ex-colonies became what? Independent states. They became independent countries, including India. Were these nation states? Were these countries nation states? The newly independent countries, ex-colonies. were they characterized by cultural homogeneity? Are we even today characterized by cultural homogeneity? The answer is no. And so was the case in most other ex-colonies. They were characterized by cultural heterogeneity of the craziest kind. Yes or no? हमारे यहां एक ढूंढोगे 100 विभिन्नताएं मिल जाएंगी, लैंग्वेजेस की, रिलीजन्स की, रेशियल दिस थिंग, यस और नो, हर टाइप की. कुछ तो सेम हो हम लोगों में. ऊपर से हमने उसमें एक और चीज डाल दी, थाउजेंड्स ऑफ कास्ट्स. आर यू विद मी? So there were national movements in many of these ex-colonies resulting in their independence. National movements क्यों बोलते हैं? What were they trying to do? They were trying to unite different people against colonial rule. Are you with me? Including in India, we had a nationalist movement. So when we were under colonial rule, were we a nation? कहते हैं we were a nation in the making. We were a nation in the making. Yes or no? Today, या ऐसे बोलते हैं कि the founding fathers were involved in, engaged in nation building. You may have heard that phrase. What do you mean by nation building? They were trying to weld these diverse people into a single psychological unit. Yes or no? Into a single people characterized by a sense of oneness or belonging together. We may speak diverse languages, belong to different religions and so on and so forth. But we are all one as Indian. तो फाउंडिंग फादर्स क्या कर रहे थे? नेशन बिल्डिंग कर रहे थे. Yes or no? Have they been successful? Have we been able to become a nation? Yes or no? What's your sense? Yes. On what basis? In other words, we still, till date, we don't have cultural homogeneity. Then on what is the basis of nationalism or oneness, that sense of unity amongst the Indian people or those in the ex-colonies in general? Shared freedom struggle. That is one. What is the key element? What binds you, Hindi bhashi lady, to that Bengali speaker, to that Tamilian? बताओ, कुछ बाइंड करता है आपको इनसे, या मैंने उनसे कुछ लेना देना नहीं? Our shared citizenship. We are one because we are all citizens of India. We are one because we owe allegiance to the constitution, that single constitution of India. In other words, friends, now our understanding of nations has evolved. Nations are of two types. One is what we call ethnic nations. Ethnic nations. Ethnic nations में what is the source of unity or oneness? A shared culture. And the other is what we term as civic nations. Civic, C-I-V-I-C. Civic nations means the people are bound together by the constitution, by their citizenship. ठीक? So the European nations are which? Ethnic nations. India is a civic nation. ठीक? David Macron, in his book The Sociology of Nationalism, distinguishes between ethnic and civic nations. ठीक है? The Sociology of Nationalism. That's the title of his book. In civic nations, the national sentiment arises from the membership of a particular state. The membership of a particular state. Full stop. People of different ethnicities are united by a common citizenship. Instead of a common ethnic background. ठीक है? Instead of a common ethnic background, the people are united, people of different ethnicities are united by a common citizenship. ठीक है? So friends, our founding fathers were engaged in nation building or welding together these diverse people, different ethnic groups, different linguistic groups, castes, communities, tribals, non-tribals, religious communities, and so on, into a single nation. How? How do we weld together these diverse people into psychologically one unit? In other words, what can be done to foster nationalism, to promote that feeling of oneness amongst a culturally diverse people? कर चुके हैं, कर रहे हैं as we speak. National, नहीं, one sec. Education, how? How can education result in promoting that feeling of oneness or unity? Absolutely. Yes. Very good. बिटिया? एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत. क्या है ये स्कीम? Brother? National symbols, like the national flag or the national anthem. Brother? Sorry? How will that foster nationalism? Okay, so kind of common understanding of historical this thing, evolution. Bilkul. So friends, various mechanisms have been used to promote nationalism. Such as, firstly friends, constitutional and legal provisions are used by the state to promote a sense of oneness or unity. Constitutional and legal provisions. Such as the very fact that we have a single citizenship, a single constitution. Yes or no? Say we are a federal polity, friends. But unlike, say, American federalism, which is the classic prototype of a federal polity, Indian citizens do not have citizenship of the state to which they belong. Yes or no? So we are not citizens of Haryana and Tamil Nadu and Assam. We are all citizens of India. In the US, you have citizenship of the US and also of the state. In the US, you have the constitution of the union and also of the separate constitutions of the states. But in India, we have a single constitution. Yes or no? The same set of rights are given to all, irrespective of language, caste, creed, ityadi. Yes or no? Yes, constitutional and legal framework. Huh? The same currency. The very fact that I know that whatever 10 rupee note I have in my pocket will work equally as well in Tamil Nadu and Nagaland and Punjab. Yes or no? अब क्या कर दिया? वन नेशन वन टैक्स. सो क्रिएटिंग या वन नेशन वन मार्केट है ना. The railways connects people across the length and breadth of the country. Yes or no? So Indian Railways में मैं बैठ के भारत के किसी भी कोने में जा सकता हूं. Sorry, not constitutional or legal provisions, but beyond. Or very importantly, yes, of course. Also, so various such provisions. Also that, क्या नाम है तुम्हारा? Yes, what he was saying. Through the education system. Through the education system. Particularly the teaching of which subject plays a very important role in promoting nationalism. History. Very correct. So do students or children in Bengal read Bengali history and those in Jharkhand read Jharkhandi history and those in Maharashtra read Maharashtrian history? No. We all study what? Indian history. So it gives us a sense that we have all kind of grown up together. That we've always been one people. Yes or no? That our historical evolution has been together as one people. We don't study about freedom struggle in Punjab and Bihar and UP and this. We study the freedom struggle of India or the national freedom struggle. Objectively speaking, the freedom struggle was taking place in pockets. And very few at that. है ना, तो कलकत्ता में थी, पुणे में थी, पंजाब में थी, ऐसे 2-4 सेंटर्स थे. But we study what? The national freedom struggle. साफ बात है, if you don't have much in common, like we don't, then you invent. Stuff like some symbols of common allegiance or common identification, such as the national flag, the national anthem. Hello? Yeah. Online friends, please confirm you can hear me clearly by typing yes. Online friends, you'll need to do that for me. अरे कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया? नहीं ब्रेक नहीं, ऐसे बीच में थोड़ी ना, abruptly. That will be too abrupt. So, let me continue, assuming everything is all right online. Acha nahi, I've come back. Just give me a second. Give me a second. I'll just connect with my online friends. Yeah. So, where was I? The personification of the nation. Dhanyavad. Kuch nahi, ho gaya. The personification of the nation in the form of, say in India, Bharat Mata. क्या मदर वदर? मदरलैंड. Bharat Mata. Yes or no? And it's not just an Indian thing. You know, many nations, including in the West, France में है, US में है, they have some such sort of a personification of the nation. And then this personified entity is elevated to the level of, use sociology jargon. Very good. To the level of sacred. Yes or no? Also, making up गलत तरीका है कहने का, but rather celebrating national icons, heroes. Yes or no? Bhaiya, Mahatma Gandhi, is he the father of Gujarat? He is the father of the nation. Yes or no? Is it only Marathis who feel proud when Sachin Tendulkar does what he does? No. He is the pride of India. Is it only the Bengali heart which swells with pride when Rabindranath Tagore or his Sangeet, his whatever, receive worldwide applause? Yes or no? No. So these are national icons, national heroes. ठीक? The celebration of national festivals, Republic Day, Independence Day, Gandhi Jayanti. And friends, nothing, literally nothing promotes nationalism as much as a common enemy. Very good. In other words, during wartime, there is a surge in nationalism. Yes or no? When there is a war-like situation or any fear or threat of external aggression, it tends to unite people within, tapering over or, ignoring the differences within. ठीक? It could be during warfare, or it could be, say, during sporting rivalries. Say, in India-Pakistan match. Right? So these are all ways of fostering a sense of oneness amongst a culturally diverse people. ठीक? अच्छा, another possible method is promoting a common culture. Promoting a common culture. Now, this method, friends, has not been historically employed in India, except for in bits and pieces. Okay, it's a controversial way of promoting a sense of oneness or unity. Though we do have some efforts in that direction, such as promoting Hindi. So you have some efforts or, official this thing to promote Hindi, such as the celebration of Hindi Divas, and so on and so forth. But it has seen a very strident backlash from the non-Hindi speaking states, particularly Tamil Nadu. Okay? So it has been kind of not employed to good effect. More recently, as we speak, there are efforts to promote a uniform civil code. Okay, so that is another one of the arguments for a uniform civil code is it will foster a sense of oneness or unity. Simply, presently, things as they stand, different religious communities, or particularly Muslims, okay, they have their own separate, their personal affairs are governed by their personal laws, which are from Islamic framework, right, from Sharia and Quran. Uske basis pe hai. Which critics argue that it fosters a sense of separateness. So if in criminal matters we are governed by the same set of rules, so we should be governed in personal affairs regarding marriage, divorce, inheritance, and so on and so forth. Okay? There are other arguments also for a UCC, we'll discuss at length. But that will be another step. One of the arguments in favor of UCC is it will promote a sense of oneness. ठीक? Now, एक subheading दीजिए. I know what's on your mind, your break, it will come. It will come. धन्यवाद भैया. Subheading दीजिए, the future of nation states. The future of nation states. What is your take? Is the future of nation states bluntly bright? या अंधियारे में? मतलब, is the time of nation states over? There is, popular school of thought which holds that nation states is an outdated concept. It is an outdated concept. The world operated well, organized in the terms of nation states during the 18th, 19th centuries. But today, in the 21st century, the concept of nation states has outlived its utility. It is not in sync with the present times. क्यों? क्या ऐसा बदला है? Yes. Homogenization or not, yes, that's another whole debate. But very importantly, globalization has simply made national borders irrelevant. They are becoming increasingly, national or state boundaries are becoming increasingly irrelevant because of increasing global integration. For instance, friends, technological progress thanks to technological progress, I can communicate with fellow Indians with as much ease as I can with people living in Australia or Canada. Yes or no? You know, in olden times, I don't know if you guys are even aware of it, if you had to make international calls, okay, there were different types of calls: local, STD, ISD. STD would be like to another city in the country, ISD would be to an international or out of the country, right? And the rates would be substantially different. Yes or no? And there was one Sarkari telephone exchange which would route all calls to outside countries. But today that is simply anachronistic. Yes or no? Something the next generation or your generation might not be even aware of. Why? Because through WhatsApp, through Zoom, through mails, I can connect as easily, as real time, as cheaply or zero cost with people across the globe. So जो national borders है ना, they have become immaterial as far as communication या exchange is concerned. Yes or no? The global financial architecture. क्या है global financial architecture? Pillars क्या है उसके? अरे स्टॉक मार्केट नहीं. World Bank, International Monetary Fund, the Bretton Woods institutions, WTO, ये सारी जो arrangements हैं. They have significantly eroded state sovereignty. Simply, बाकी देश छोड़ो. When we opened up our economy in the early 1990s, was it our sovereign decision? साफ बात है, we were compelled to adopt the structural adjustment program because of the forex reserves crisis that we were facing. Yes or no? So we were forced to open up our economy to multinational corporations. And with other countries, worse has been imposed on them. Are you with me? So हम जो नेशन स्टेट बोलते हैं उसका एक एलिमेंट क्या होता है? सोवरेनिटी, सुप्रीम पावर टू टेक डिसीजंस अफेक्टिंग द लाइव्स ऑफ इट्स पीपल. इट्स एन आउटडेटेड कॉन्सेप्ट. Yes. Likewise, friends, we have also witnessed the growth of supranational bodies. Supranational bodies. यानी जो रीजनल इंटीग्रेशन इंडिकेट करती है. बॉडीज लाइक यूरोपियन यूनियन या आसियान. Now you look at the level of integration above and beyond state boundaries. European Union has its own currency. It has its own parliament. Are you with me? I think they also have a foreign minister or something. Yeah? Foreign policy chief or whoever. Matlab something which you would conventionally attribute to a state. Yes or no? What about SARC? Where will you place SARC? SARC is a non-starter, effectively. है ना? तो बहुत ही नाम का या it's not a good example of regional integration. The way ASEAN या यूरोपियन यूनियन या टू सम एक्सटेंट मर्कोसूर, हाँ, या African Union, even better than African Union is also better than SAARC. But point is, friends, these bodies also indicate the shift in the conventional our understanding of the nation state. ठीक? Also, friends, the world today witnesses or is confronted with several global challenges. Global challenges. Matlab, which cannot be dealt with by nation states. You require global coordination and cooperation, such as climate change, international terrorism, international human trafficking, drugs trafficking, the pandemic. Yes or no? तो ये नेशन स्टेट्स की बाउंड्रीज और जो वो है ना टेरिटोरियलिटी वगैरह, वो सारा एक आउटडेटेड कॉन्सेप्ट हो गया है. In many of the European nation states, which were based upon cultural homogeneity, please appreciate there has been large-scale migration. So many of these European nation states also today have substantial population of ethnic minorities. So जो उनकी cultural homogeneity थी, which was the basis of nation state formation, is now a thing of the past. So they are at a loss of how to deal with the minorities. Are you with me? France में एक substantial Muslim population है और उनको नहीं पता. In contrast से India, we have had a long history, a very long history, civilizational history of plurality and cultural heterogeneity. हाँ? So जो उनका नेशन स्टेट का फॉर्मेशन का बेसिस था, कल्चरल होमोजेनिटी, वो आउटडेटेड हो गया है. तो अब उनमें सेंस ऑफ वननेस या यूनिटी कैसे आएगी? मतलब a new compact will have to be entered into between different ethnic groups. हाँ? ठीक? So the conventional understanding of nation states stands sufficiently challenged. So tell me, friends, is it now time to declare the death of the nation state? Should we confine this concept to the dustbins of history or not? Why not? इतने तो मैंने तर्क दिए आपको, आप लोग कन्विंस होने का नाम ही नहीं लेते. हाँ हाँ, नहीं तो एक हिस्ट्री में पढ़ना चाहिए या कंटेम्प्ररी भी कोई रेलेवेंस है? जान बची है क्या इस कॉन्सेप्ट में? क्यों, कहां, क्या? या रेज योर हैंड्स एंड स्पीक. हाँ, एब्सोल्युटली. बिटिया, अच्छा. She is saying in times of crisis we need the nation state's protection. या उसकी छत्र छाया. हाँ ब्रदर? Competing interests within regional integration mechanisms. Huh? It's not a cohesive it's not as, well defined a unit, as clear a sense of oneness as at the level of the nation state. Bilkul. So friends, clearly the concept of nation states as yet is definitely not outdated. It is too soon to write off nation states. As we speak, till date, the world continues to be primarily organized on the lines of nation states. देश में, दुनिया में करीब 195-200 के करीब क्या है? कंट्रीज हैं या नेशन स्टेट्स हैं. Not all of them would be nation states, but a large number of nation states we have till date. Territoriality, yani ensuring the sovereignty of the nation states and protecting its territorial integrity continues to be of vital importance to all countries. Yes or no? As we speak, Ukraine में जो हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है? To protect the territorial integrity. One country is defending its territory or its usurpation by another. Is it important for us in India? What if I propose to you, Kashmir is a headache? Huh? दे देते हैं POK. Let's give up our claims on POK at the very least. Yes or no? Yes. अरे भैया जान दे देंगे इसके लिए, as our home minister said on the floor of the parliament. ठीक है? So people are still very strongly attached. It's a very alive concept. It's not a dead concept for sure. Recent developments indicate how this concept of nation state is still very much pertinent in today's context. Developments like Brexit. क्या हुआ था Brexit में? Britons voted in a referendum to dissociate from the European Union. मतलब Britons rejected regional integration to assert their national sovereignty. Yes or no? In different parts of the world, there is a wave of nationalism. अमेरिका में ट्रंप क्या कह रहे हैं? हाँ, अमेरिका फॉर अमेरिकन्स, लेट्स मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन. वो बाउंड्री खड़ी कर रहे हैं फिजिकल. Are you with me? Likewise, the Hindutva wave in India. One of the planks of Hindutva ideology is nationalism. Yes or no? Which its critics term as hyper-nationalism. Too much of Rashtravad. What was the first instinct of all countries, almost without fail, when the pandemic struck? To close national borders, stop international flights. हमें नहीं चाहिए ग्लोबलाइजेशन वगैरह. हमें किसकी जान बचानी है? अपने लोगों की. Vaccine nationalism was there. Who deserves the first right over life-saving vaccines? People of our nation, we. ठीक? So we cannot say that this concept has become completely outdated, it still continues to be very important in international affairs, in the socio-political lives of the people across the globe, in varying degrees. With that, you have earned a very well-deserved break. Please settle down, friends, quickly. We have 2 more topics to go for today. Yes, one is small, short, the other is biggish. So, moving on to the next concept, which is citizenship. Citizenship. Please put your phones on silent. What do you understand, friends, by citizenship? Subscription to a, this is like almost like, Airtel or something, to a nation state. Huh? You subscribe to a nation state. ये बताओ, citizenship जो होती है, it is associated with a nation or a state? Nation या state? Clearly state. State. होती क्या है? What do you mean when you're subscribing to a state? It is a source of identity. But then we need more than that, no? I have multiple identities. For example, I am who? I am a Baniya. I am a Hindu. I am a man. I am a father. I am a teacher. I am also an Indian. Okay? So it is one of my many identities. Tell me more about it, brother. Political status awarded by the state. Who have a set of rights, very importantly. Brother? Very, very good. It is a legal identity or it is a legal status. Continue. Yes, again, he has very rightly emphasized upon rights. Citizenship, friends, clearly is associated with rights. Yes, और बताइए, brother. Wonderful. It defines or captures the nature of the relationship between the individual and the state. Many of you mentioned rights, and that very rightly so. Citizenship, friends, is associated with a set of rights. Which rights? Which are the citizenship rights? Or in other words, say in India, which rights are available to citizens and not to aliens? Those who are non-citizens legally are regarded as aliens. So in India, which rights are available only to citizens and not to aliens? Raise your hands. (15, 16, 19 and 29 and 30. I think it is these. Apart from these, any other rights which are not available to aliens or non-citizens? The right to vote, very importantly. Bilkul. Okay, so certain rights are only available to, so citizenship, those who are identified as citizens have a broader set of rights than those who are not considered the citizens of a state. Right? In that, so if I were to dwell a bit into the historical evolution of this concept of citizenship, this concept can be traced back to ancient Greece. In ancient Greece, there were several city-states. Athens, Sparta, इस टाइप के city states होते थे. And those who, I'll dictate also, not the history part, but something pertinent. So those who were considered as full members of the city were regarded as citizens. City शब्द से आया है citizens. Interestingly, इसी तरह हिंदी में नगर शब्द से आया है नागरिक. So those who enjoyed full membership of the city or that political community were regarded as citizens. Okay? Very rightly pointed out by you guys that citizenship is associated with a set of rights. In other words, friends, in kingdoms, kings had subjects. Subjects matlab those who were subject to the authority. But modern polities have citizens. Very specifically, democracies have citizens or people who are being ruled over, they have a set of certain rights. ठीक? लिखो. Citizenship means the legal status of full membership. Citizenship means the legal status of full membership of a political community. Full stop. Thus, citizenship entails a special legal relationship between an individual and the state. It entails a special legal relationship between an individual and the state. And what is this special legal relationship? Full stop. The state काटो. ऐसे लिखो. Citizenship is associated with a set of rights of the individual which are guaranteed या protected, a set of rights of the individual which are guaranteed or protected by the state. By the state. Full stop. Now, friends, very interestingly, whom does the state guarantee these rights against? Very interestingly, very often it is against encroachment by the state itself. कि चलो ये तुम्हें करने की छूट है, मैं हस्तक्षेप नहीं करूंगी, मैं तुमसे बहुत बड़ी हूं, पावरफुल हूं, overbearing हूं, but these are your citizenship rights. Also, friends, one often neglected dimension of citizenship is duties. It's not just or only about rights. Rights and duties are literally two sides of the same coin. ठीक है? लिखिए. Equally, full stop के बाद, equally, the citizens have citizenship duties. The most prominent of which is क्या? नहीं. Sorry? Right to vote. The duty to vote. Following the laws. Territorial. The most prominent of which is to pledge his allegiance. To pledge their allegiance to the state. Loyalty. Wafadari. ठीक? Now, universally, across the globe, there are two basic principles which are which are near universal for the grant of citizenship, which are, it's all Lakshmikant guys. Jus soli and jus sanguine. Ya sanguine, however you pronounce it. Jus soli matlab the law of the soil. Yani those who are born on the basis of birth in that territory, they are granted citizenship or considered as citizens of the state. Jus sanguine, J-U-S, not J-U-S-T, J-U-S. It's a Latin kind of a phrase, I presume. Sanguine, matlab law of the blood. Matlab those who are born to citizens. If your parents are citizens, you become citizens by virtue of that. Okay? In India, which one? Both. You must have studied there are 4 modes of becoming citizen. Namely, by birth, by naturalization, registration, chautha, when territory is acquired. Is that the case? No, naturalization, registration, birth, and by descent. Must be so. Yes, should be that. Go revise your Lakshmikants. Sorry? हो गया ना, registration, naturalization, birth, and descent. ठीक? And acquisition of territory. ठीक? Okay. Now, coming back to theory part, non-Lakshmikant. T.H. Marshall, in his book titled Citizenship and Social Class, he suggests that the notion of citizenship has expanded with time. The notion of citizenship has expanded to include more and more rights with passage of time. So, in the 18th century, citizenship got associated with various civil rights. Citizenship got associated with various civil rights in the 18th century. Civil rights कौन से होते हैं? Rights like the right to personal liberty. Right to freedom of speech. Freedom of thought. Right to right to property. Public property थोड़ी ना. Right to property. Right to enter into contract. Equality before law. These are all civil rights. ठीक? Then in the 19th century, the concept of citizenship expanded to include various political rights. Political rights. Importantly, the right to vote. The right to contest elections. The right to hold public office. ठीक? And in the 20th century, the ambit of citizenship was further expanded to include various social rights. Social rights meaning the right to a decent standard of living, basically. Or this notion of social rights is associated with the development of which type of state? Welfare state. So right to education, right to clean drinking water, right to health care, ये जो welfare functions of the state हैं उनसे associated. ठीक? Now, another point he makes that as this क्या बोलते हैं तुम्हारा See, इनकी किताब का नाम है Citizenship and Social Class. The expanding ambit of citizenship means greater equality. Means greater equality. So you and I and Ambani, we all have the same freedom of speech and expression. Yes or no? Then we have equal right to contest elections or become the prime minister of the country, or to vote, one man, one vote, and so on and so forth. So the expansion of citizenship, the expanding ambit of citizenship indicates greater equality in the society. Social class indicates क्या? Equality. It indicates inequality in society. Yes or no? I repeat, an expanding ambit of citizenship rights indicates more and more equality, while social classes indicate inequality in society. So, tell me, friends, as the concept of citizenship expands further, does it mean that it will lead to an egalitarian society, or social classes will become a thing of the past? Yes or no? Why not? Logically, they are counter to each other, no? Why not? Citizenship rights are limited in nature. So what Marshall explains, he says you're right, that with an expanding ambit of citizenship, it will not lead to a classless society. Why? Because inequality या classes are based upon the right to property, which itself is a citizenship right. क्यों है समाज में कोई अमीर कोई गरीब? क्योंकि हम सबको प्रॉपर्टी बटोरने का अधिकार है. तो कोई ज्यादा बटोर लेता है, कोई कम. ठीक? I repeat, so according to Marshall, the expanding ambit of citizenship rights will not result in a classless society. With expanding ambit of citizenship rights, or an expanding ambit of citizenship rights will not result in an egalitarian or classless society. Because social inequality is an outcome of the right to property. या इसको लिख दो, इट इज एन आउटकम ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी ओनरशिप, इज एन आउटकम ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी ओनरशिप which itself is an important citizenship right. I repeat, inequality, because inequality is an outcome of property ownership, which itself is an important citizenship right. ठीक? Now, Marshall's theory, before I proceed, was also criticized. Marshall's theory of citizenship was criticized. One ground was that it is too English-centric. In the sense, it is based primarily on the English history or the experience in England. This is how rights have evolved in England. Other countries may have had a different evolution. ये नहीं है कि सभी में 18वीं 19वीं और 20वीं सदी में निम्न अधिकार दिए गए. ठीक? So it is based, his theory is based only on the English experience. Another criticism is that this is how rights have been conferred on men. So feminist scholars have pointed out this theory is male-centric. So the grant of rights to women, followed a different timeline and a different evolution it was. ठीक? से जो 18-19 century, 1920th की बात कर रहे हैं, इसमें men को ऐसे rights मिले थे. चलिए, now moving on to something more topical, which is the CAA, NRC controversy and the protests. What was the mudda? How many of you participated in the CAA, NRC protests? Any of you? Sorry? The anti, of course. The anti is like understood. The anti-constitution, Citizenship Amendment Act and the National Registry of Citizens. Right? How many of you protested against these along with others or participated? This thing was very, these protests were very strident in Delhi, in Assam. None? Kab koon kholega? Faisal? Any any understanding of this? What was the Citizenship Amendment Act about? Bitya? Absolutely. ठीक है. So, absolutely, the Citizenship Amendment Act basically facilitated the grant of citizenship to non-Muslims from 3 Islamic countries: Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. Okay? The grant of Indian citizenship to these persons was, and those who had arrived in India before a certain cut of this thing and had lived for 5 odd years, right? For them, Indian citizenship would be fast-tracked. And this was broadly what the Citizenship Amendment Act was about. The National Registry of Citizens was an outcome of an accord between all Assam Students' Union and the government of India, then led by Rajiv Gandhi. Rajiv Gandhi period. And basically it was in the context of influx of a large number of immigrants from Bangladesh into Assam, and to a lesser extent from West Bengal in India to Assam. So ASU, one of the students' bodies in then Assam, it was campaigning against these immigrants, arguing that such large-scale influx of immigrants was changing the demography of Assam. There were a lot of anti-immigrant campaigns, and it was in that context, there was a court judgment also, and it was in that context that the government of India and this protesting body of students, Assamese, representing the Assamese society, they agreed upon a national registry of citizens so that the illegal immigrants could be identified. ठीक? तो ये तो हुआ था. Where do you guys stand? And that was sought to be implemented now by the Modi government. After having remained in limbo for long, it was now being implemented by the Modi government, and there were widespread protests, okay, against the CAA and NRC. Reason being, or one of the main reasons being, that these, by the protesters, these were seen as discriminatory measures, specifically targeting Muslims. So the Citizenship Amendment Act was seen to be discriminatory simply because it fast-tracked the grant of citizenship to non-Muslims. Also, it was argued that under these, certain documentation would be expected, and large sections of the population might not have proper documentation. So they will be denied citizenship. Under the NRC, it was alleged by the protesters that there were detention centers being organized in parts of Assam and elsewhere, where simply the human rights of those identified as non-citizens were being trampled upon. And that would be a logistical nightmare. What will the Indian government do? Will it transport them back to Bangladesh? What if Bangladesh is unwilling to accept them? Are you with me? So this was the context. The government of India's argument was that the CAA does not alter or affect the citizenship status of Indian Muslims. In no way does it affect or it does not in any way relegate Indian Muslims to the status of second-class citizens, as was being hinted by those opposing the CAA. Also, why weren't Muslims in Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Afghanistan being fast-tracked, their citizenship being fast-tracked? Because they were not being persecuted. These were Islamic countries, so the bulk of the population is Muslim. The non-Muslims, meaning including Hindus and Christians and Sikhs, etc., they were the persecuted minorities. And as proof of that, you have the dwindling population percentages of the non-Muslims in the three countries. So because the non-Muslims were victims of religious persecution in these countries, and India was for many of them a kind of a natural homeland, right? That is why it was specifically designed for non-Muslims. ठीक है, तो ये सारा था. And the NRC was also, an outcome of court judgments and a historical accord in which the Congress-led government was an equal enthusiastic participant, and it was long overdue, and so on and so forth. And why should illegal immigrants, irrespective of their religious or linguistic affiliation, have, put strain on the limited national resources? So Indian resources belong first and foremost to Indians, and not Bangladeshis. So this was the context. Where do you stand on this? Sarkar ne sahi kiya ya nahi kiya? How many of you think कि सरकार ने सही किया? That CA and NRC were measures in good faith. How many of you are of the view that these were discriminatory measures, particularly targeting Muslims, undertaken by this Hindutva government as part of its larger project of demonizing and Muslims? Raise your hands. That the CA and NRC were unfair and discriminatory? Very few. ठीक है. Why? Add on. Why do you think it was justified? Why do you think it was discriminatory? Brother? It was justified. The resources of the country belong to its citizens. हाँ? और बताइए. Yes? हाँ. So it was not a government की साजिश. And the very prolific home minister, he had made some statement कि हम घुसपैठियों को ढूंढ के बे ऑफ बंगाल में, बंगाल की खाड़ी में फेंक देंगे. ठीक है? So that like added fuel to the fire. हाँ. Or fuel that, fear or that sentiment. हाँ. They become vote banks. बिल्कुल. So they don't deserve to participate in India's political life as equal citizens. They get made fake Aadhaar and fake voter IDs, etc., which is not too difficult. Anybody from Assam? Assamese people? हाँ, so tell me, क्या हो रहा था वहां पे? बहुत ज्यादा कर्फ्यू वगैरह हो रहा था. मतलब माहौल क्या था अपार्ट फ्रॉम द कर्फ्यू पार्ट? घर के अंदर डर के बैठ रहे थे. ओके. हाँ, और बताइए ब्रदर. हाँ. Constitution guarantees only equality of equals. ठीक है, interesting. And you are suggesting that they are not equal to us. Very categorically he's saying. Why do you say that? And with such assertion? ठीक है. Huh? So very clear. Do you disagree with that? Why? He is referring to Muslims. That they did a lot of bloodshed, resulting in the partition of the country, and so on. That it is not the person's only identity or his doing. Also, very interestingly, when the ASU movement agitations were going on, right? It was not so much on the basis of the religious identity as it was on the basis of linguistic identity. So it was considered that Assam belongs to the Assamese-speaking people and the Bangla-speaking people, including both Hindus and Muslims from Bangladesh. Illegal Hindu and Muslim immigrants from Bangladesh, they were changing the demographic character. Also, some people from West Bengal. Later on, it did also become communalized, or the divide became along religious lines. Anti-Muslim sentiment cropped up then. Right? So here you can apply which concept? Ethnic boundaries are fluid, shifting. पढ़ा था ना? हाँ. Yes, somebody had raised a hand. Bitia? They were taking up Bangladeshi Muslims or Bangladeshis, illegal immigrants, were taking up the limited employment opportunities that should rightly belong to the local people. Illegally कब्जा कर रहे थे नेटिव पीपल के लैंड पे. National Registry of Citizens. So how can you exclude a particular religious community? Brother? Say the lower castes. अब वो तो एक another. So he's saying you can't deny the historical persecution, or in fact the current persecution of the non-Muslims in the Muslim majority neighbor countries. So maybe, Ahmadiyas in Pakistan, they face discrimination. They're treated as non-Muslims and persecuted in that. Chaliye. Thank you. अब हम समझते हैं थोड़ा scholarly view से. This was the big picture. According to scholars like Barrington Moore Jr. and Zygmunt Bauman, in a large country, which has a growing population, in a large country which has a growing population and limited resources, comma, the government may attempt to delegitimize a section of the population because of its inability to contain the population, and its inability to provide for all sections of the society. So these guys have not directly written about any CA and RC, but we can use their framework. What they are saying, that when you have a situation like in India, you have a government where there are a lot of expectations, you have a very large and growing population, and there are of course finite or limited resources. And so what this implies, if you apply this framework, that the BJP government did it because to hide its failure, to hide its failure in being able to meet the expectations of the people. Are you with me? So what do? You demonize. Who? Muslims. Or specifically immigrants. बीजेपी सरकार ने मुसलमानों को बलि का बकरा बना लिया because it was unable to perform its obligations as a welfare state. ठीक? बलि का बकरा as in you are reducing Muslims to the status of second-class citizens. You are constantly through various measures demonizing who? Muslims. समाज में limited opportunities हैं. Yes or no? Say job opportunities, educational services, etc. सब कम है. कौन खा जाएगा? Immigrants खा जाएंगे. क्राइम रेट्स बढ़ रहे हैं. कौन कर रहा है कंट्रीब्यूट? इमिग्रेंट्स करते हैं. लैंड पे स्क्वैटिंग हो रही है. somebody had mentioned. कौन करता है ये? इलीगल इमिग्रेंट्स. समझ रहे हैं आप? हिंदू लड़कियां फंसाई जा रही हैं. कौन करता है ये? मुसलमान. है ना? लव जिहाद, लैंड जिहाद, यूपीएससी जिहाद, all sorts of jihad. Suraj Gogoi writes that, he is specifically talking about CA and RC. The CA and the NRC is the graveyard of citizenship. सिटीजनशिप क्या होती है? इक्वल ट्रीटमेंट, द प्रॉमिस ऑफ इक्वालिटी, यू डोंट डिस्क्रिमिनेट. और यहां पे आप क्या कर रहे हो? सिटीजनशिप के अंदर ही डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी क्लॉजेज डाल रहे हो. Over 2 million people will be kept out of the NRC. Over 2 million people, ये सब मैं नहीं कह रहा, सूरज गोगोई कह रहे हैं, will be out of the NRC. And for the government, it will be a logistical nightmare. क्या करोगे 20 लाख लोगों का? डिटेंशन सेंटर्स में डालोगे, डाल के क्या करोगे? पालोगे, पालना पड़ेगा. You'll have to provision रोटी, नहाना, धोना, everything for this massive population. क्या करोगे? इनको वापस भेज दोगे. These moves will promote or are promoting xenophobia. XENO phobia. Xenophobia क्या होता है? A fear of या hatred of outsiders या foreigners. So you are demonizing migrants as criminals, as rapists, as squatters. Yes or no? And this xenophobia goes against our civilizational ethos. हमारा कल्चर क्या है? जो बाहर से आता है उसको हम कैसे ट्रीट करते हैं? अतिथि देवो भव. Yes or no? So, historically also, India has welcomed people of diverse cultures. So it has embraced people of diverse nationalities and religions and racial stock, etc., without discrimination. Yes or no? So India has never been closed for outsiders. And that civilizational historical trend is now sought to be reversed by such measures. ठीक? तो ये है about the CAA and the NRC. With that, we call it a day. Thank you.